Regarding discussions this week, we only have one discussion. Yay! And that discussion is going to be focused on giving and receiving project feedback. So for your initial message, you're going to pick an aspect of your paper, anything that you would like to receive feedback on. It could be your flowchart, your wireframes, your content, your assessments, any content that you feel like you need some feedback about. And you're going to describe in general terms the ways in which you are fulfilling design recommendations from course literature. And so this way, we're going to know what you have in your mind, and we'll be able to say, well, he knows what he's doing in that aspect, so we don't need to worry about it. Or, oh, she thinks she knows what she's doing and she's not quite following recommendations, so I better help. And so then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to ask specific questions or indicate the areas in which you'd like to receive feedback. So you want to focus our attention. Now, for your responses, you're going to reply to 3 classmates and provide feedback to their projects. And so you're going to address their questions. If you notice that they are not quite fulfilling requirements or following recommendations from course literature, you're going to tell them, hey, I noticed that you're doing this, but it's not quite following Horton's recommendation, for example, for navigation. And this would be the way that you could address that particular design recommendation, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, if they're doing a great job following design recommendations, it's also a good idea to provide that kind of reinforcement. So you're doing a wonderful job in following Horton's recommendations for navigation. You're using navigation consistently throughout the pages, blah, 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 whatever it is that they're doing well. So either it is they're not following recommendations, or whether there are, you're going to specifically tell them this is the particular recommendation from literature that you're doing a good job on, or that you're not necessarily doing a good job, and this is how you could improve. So focus your feedback on that. I wanted to say that I'm very, very pleased with the way that you guys are providing feedback to each other. I am very proud of the work that you're doing in the discussion forum, providing very high-level feedback and not just, overall generic feedback. And you're doing a wonderful job, and I'm sure your students are going to love this. No, this is great reinforcement, but the kind of targeted feedback that you're providing, I'm very pleased with it. You're really basing your recommendations on Horton and other class readings, and this actually helps. And I want to reassure you, those of you who have told me that you sometimes don't feel very comfortable providing feedback because obviously you don't want to make the other person feel bad in any way. But when you provide feedback that is based on the readings, then you have some strong support for what you're saying, and so you shouldn't worry. And your feedback is going to come out as an eye-opener. If you don't provide feedback that's based on recommendations from literature, it can come across as this is my preference and I want to force you to follow it, or this is how I like things. No, we're really providing feedback because we're noticing that maybe you're not following the recommendations. So if you're giving the feedback, know that you're strengthening your recommendation by basing your recommendations on best practices. If you're receiving the feedback, know that it's being provided with the your best interest in mind. And of course, in the end, you have the liberty not to implement everything that you're provided, because you're the designer and you're the one who's considering the affordances and the constraints of the environment that you have and the situation that you have. So good job so far. Just as Horton says, keep an open mind about giving and receiving feedback. You're exhibiting a high level of thinking as you are dissecting and analyzing your classmates' posts and looking at them through the lens of literature. You're doing an awesome work there. So I commend you for that. So for the deadlines this week, we have our first message due on February the 11th. That's a Wednesday. And we have a special deadline for the responses. And the special deadline we've all decided on is Friday the 13th. All messages are due at 11:59 p.m. of the deadline.